I'm sorry, I can't assist with that. The sound of the echoing words hung in the air like a dark cloud overhead. Daisy felt her stomach drop. What had just happened? She looked around, eyes darting between the faces of her fellow students who stood frozen, shock painted across their features. Behind her, the door swung shut, cutting off the last rays of light. A heavy silence settled over the room, thick and suffocating, broken only by the distant hum of the overhead projector. Her heart raced as dread crept in. Was someone really capable of such threats? Did you hear that? A voice suddenly broke through, shaky and filled with disbelief. It was Ethan, the quiet guy she always thought was just blending into the background. He took a step closer, his brows furrowed in confusion. Fear radiated from him like a force field. "We need to tell someone," Daisy said, her voice trembling. The others nodded slowly. The atmosphere felt charged, an electric current of raw, bubbling tension. It was as if they all understood this moment was pivotal, yet no one wanted to be the first to break the spell. "Are we sure that it's not just a joke?" Lisa whispered, pressing her back against the wall. Her face was pale, and Daisy could see her hands shaking. Daisy shook her head, a lump forming in her throat. "This isn't a joke. It feels too real." Each word felt heavier than the last, like boulders rolling downhill, faster and faster. Suddenly, the lights flickered, a brief, jarring flash that sent a shiver down Daisy's spine. It felt like time slowed, and every breath sounded loud and labored. She remembered the rumors, the talks that had been circulating in the cafeteria. Whispers of someone in their midst who had a hidden agenda. The door creaked open again. A figure stepped inside, silhouetted against the flickering lights. Daisy's heart hammered. Was it him? Was it someone who had come to finish what had been started? The figure was shrouded in darkness, face obscured, tension mounting like a tightly coiled spring. "Who are you?" Ethan managed to muster, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm here for answers," the figure replied, their voice low and steady. It carried an unsettling authority. "And it looks like you have some to share." Everyone exchanged nervous glances. Answers? What answers could they possibly provide? Daisy felt a wave of heat wash over her, mixed with creeping cold fear. She took a step back, her instincts screaming at her to flee. But where would she go? They were trapped. One of the classmates, Sam, finally stepped forward. "You can't just walk in here and demand answers. We don't even know who you are." The figure took a slow, deliberate step forward, and the lights surged defiantly, flickering once more before settling into a steady glow. With the newfound light, the figure's face became visible, revealing an unnerving smile that sent a chill down Daisy's spine. It was the grin of someone who knew much more than they let on. "Sometimes the truth is more terrifying than the lies," the stranger murmured, their voice a deceptive calm. "And I'm here to share that truth with you." Daisy's breath hitched. She wanted to turn away, to run, but the fear of the unknown rooted her in place. What reality lay ahead? What grotesque truths awaited them? And with that, the air crackled with a tension so thick, it felt like it might explode. What truth would unfold next? Would it change everything they thought they knew? Daisy's heart raced, each pulse like a drum calling for war. The weight of the figure's gaze bore down on her, an invisible pressure that made it hard to breathe. She could see the lines of anxiety etched on her classmates' faces, each shared glance amplifying the palpable fear in the room. "Truth?" Sam spat out. "What's that supposed to mean?" His bravado faltered, revealing the trembling beneath his bravado. The figure chuckled softly, a sound that was disconcerting against the backdrop of their frozen fear. "You don't know, do you? The truth is a sweet poison. It will burn and liberate you all at once." Daisy could almost feel the heat emanating from the figure. Who did they think they were? She tightened her grip on her own arms, grounding herself against the chaos swirling in her mind. "Just tell us what you mean," she cried, unable to keep the desperation from her voice. With another deliberate step, the figure leaned in, their smile widening unsettlingly. You think this is about fear? You think you're afraid of what I might do? You should be afraid of what you already know. There are truths hiding within you, truths you've buried in the dirt of denial. A gasp rose from Lisa. What are you talking about? We haven't done anything. Her eyes shone with tears, and for a moment, she looked like a child lost in a storm. The figure straightened, regaining composure. But you have. You carry the shadows of your choices. Desperate choices made in quiet moments when you thought no one was watching. You think they're gone, and yet they creep and crawl beneath your skin, ripe for revelation. Daisy felt a chill wash over her. They shared secrets among friends but always kept their darkest thoughts hidden. What kind of monsters were they? Ethan, stepping closer to Daisy, whispered, "What if they know something? What if they know about that thing we did, the night of the party?" His voice shook, an echo of regret that hung in the air like smoke. No. You're wrong. Daisy snapped, defiance igniting in her. We all make mistakes, but those don't define us. She looked around the room at the collective horror in her friend's eyes. They couldn't let this stranger tear them apart. Ah, the figure said, their voice laced with mocking amusement, but some mistakes have a way of defining a life. And tonight, the truth will claw its way into light. Suddenly, the lights above began to flicker violently, plunging the room into a brief darkness before bursting back to life, illuminating the figure entirely. It wasn't just their smile that chilled Daisy. It was the marked aggression in their eyes, the certainty of their presence. Enough with the games. Sam shouted, a weak confidence burst forward. Just tell us what you want. But even he shakily recoiled as the figure pulled out an object from their coat, something shiny, glimmering wickedly under the lights. Daisy squinted into the brightness, her breath catching once again. It was a phone, the dim screen playing a video that flickered with movement. A face appeared, one they all recognized. Your truth is about to unfold, the figure declared, their voice dripping with assurance. Are you ready to watch the past you've locked away? Daisy's gut twisted. What had they done? What had they hidden? The screen glowed brighter, casting eerie shadows across the walls, and suddenly, everything felt like it was racing toward them. Were they ready to face their own truths? The wait for answers was about to end, but what would they uncover? The figure pressed a button on the phone, and the room fell silent. Daisy could feel the tension thickening like a heavy fog. As the video started, the static flickered away, revealing bright colors distorted by time. It was a candid moment, a snapshot of a party that had ended in chaos. Laughter echoed through the small crowded room as the familiar faces of her friends appeared on the screen. It felt both nostalgic and jarring, the carefree happiness only serving to heighten her anxiety. But then, everything shifted, dark shadows creeping into the frame. What is this? Sam breathed, his voice barely a whisper. The sudden change in the footage made everyone lean in closer. This is your truth, the figure sneered, their sharp eyes gleaming. Are you ready to see it? The scene darkened, a flickering moment lingering on the screen. Daisy's stomach churned, a lump forming in her throat. She didn't just recognize the faces, she recognized the terrible mistakes that were about to be unveiled. Wait, stop. Lisa gasped, covering her mouth as if trying to shout against the tide of truth about to crash upon them. But it was too late. The video continued, revealing the celebration spilling into chaos as an argument broke out, a shove, and an unexpected fall that sent someone crashing to the ground. No, Daisy whispered, her heart pounding in her chest as she clutched Ethan's arm. She had buried that night deep down, locked it away, refusing to acknowledge how it changed everything. The clarity of the person sprawled on the floor hit them like a freight train, frozen in time. Daisy? The figure turned to her, eyebrow raised, their gaze penetrating. Isn't that you in the background? Looking on. Her breath hitched. The moment she had sought to forget was now blasting into her reality. How could they have forgotten the way it had ended? The way they had all walked away, shame etched in their hearts but silence clinging to their lips. Why would you do this? Daisy shouted angrily, thunder coursing through her voice. You're sick. The figure smiled, reveling in their discomfort, fully aware they were inching closer to the heart of their buried secrets. I didn't do anything. I'm just the messenger. No. Lisa cried, her tears flowing uncontrollably now. We're not monsters. We moved on. It was a mistake. Only a mistake if you never face it. The figure's voice trailed off, leaving a heavy silence that felt like a storm ready to break. They pointed menacingly at the screen. You'll see you can run from truths and bury your ghosts, but they will claw their way to the surface eventually. Daisy's thoughts raced. Could her friends really confront this? Could she? The past was roaring at her, growing louder with each frame. The figure stepped back, allowing the footage to play, and with it, the heavy weight of their past loomed larger still. Her pulse thrummed, and she could sense her friends' eyes darting between each other. Would they unite to confess, or would this expose them more than they ever thought possible? The room felt like it was closing in, fear twisted with anticipation. As the video continued, the chaotic sounds filled their ears, drowning out rational thoughts. Would they crumble under the pressure, or rise to confront what the shadows of their past had become? And just as the suspense reached its fever pitch, the video flickered for a final reveal. A split-second moment, a figure not among them, but watching in the dark corner. The screen glitched, leaving that haunting image imprinted in Daisy's mind, like a ghost reminding them of their sins. What was that? Ethan whispered, eyes wide with alarm. She felt the urgency rise, the shadows shifting, demanding to be acknowledged, but Daisy wasn't sure what terrified her more: the truth they had hidden, or the presence lurking just beyond the reach of their understanding. What had that figure seen? And what did it want? The question echoed in the silence that followed, the suspense like a tightrope stretched thin. What would happen next? The screen flickered again, casting erratic shadows across their faces. Daisy's heart raced. She leaned closer, her throat dry as she forced down a wave of dread. Ethan's fingers squeezed her arm, his face a mix of fear and determination. They were racing against something bigger than all of them: their hidden truths, the unseen figure in the dark, and what it all meant for their fragile camaraderie. Stop the video. Sam pleaded, voice trembling. We don't need to see anymore. But the figure only shook their head, a sly smile spreading across their lips. You need to see and you need to remember. More flashes on the screen, laughter now mingling with accusations, voices rising like the crashing waves in a storm. Daisy felt herself get lost in the chaos, the accusations, and the blame flung across the room like daggers. Each moment was an unearthing, a harsh reminder of words left unsaid and feelings buried beneath regret. Turn it off. Lisa sobbed, her face streaming with tears. Confusion and terror danced in her eyes, crying out for salvation. Yet, every plea provoked the figure's delight. What's the matter? Can't handle the truth? They leaned in, the excitement almost palpable. This is your creation, your legacy. Face it. This is what you made of yourselves. Shut up. Ethan shouted, taking a step forward as if to protect his friends from both the figure and the sins displayed on the screen. It was a brave but futile gesture. The memories were stubborn, they lingered like ghosts, unwilling to fade into oblivion. Suddenly, everything came crashing down. The video froze, pausing on a moment when Daisy's face turned from the chaos to the camera. She was captured mid-gasp, eyes wide with horror and understanding, the weight of the situation washing over her. In that split second, she saw the truth that they had been unraveling with every grain of the video. Acknowledge it, the figure hissed, leaning closer to the trembling group. Make a choice: will you confront your demons together, or crumble alone? The room felt frigid as they exchanged glances, each friend wrestling with the barest hint of shame painted across their features. Daisy's breath caught in her throat. She could feel the walls closing in again, fear gripping her heart like a vice. Do we really want to relive this? Sam's voice cracked. What if we're not strong enough? What if we are? Ethan shot back, anger igniting a spark in his eyes. With a collective intake of breath, the group's silent conversations rippled around the room. Daisy thought of standing strong, of leaning on one another, but doubt sang through her veins like poison. We can't just ignore this, she whispered, gritting her teeth against the fear threatening to drown her. She felt the weight of their friendship fragile, yet resilient. Maybe this is what we need to move on, but at what cost? Lisa cautioned, covering her face with trembling hands. The distress was unbearable, her voice muffled beneath her palms. The figure chuckled darkly, reveling in their turmoil. It's not just about facing the truth. It's about ownership. Can you stand in the light of your reality, or will you hide again in the dark? The atmosphere turned electric, charged with an energy that was almost tangible. The figure's words carved more doubt into their resolve, but Daisy forced her eyes back to the screen. Would they rise together or let fear tear them apart? Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the back of the room. Everyone whirled around, hearts racing, bodies tense with fear. The door creaked ominously, swinging open just enough to reveal a shadowy figure standing beyond. Who is there? Daisy's voice sliced through the tension, echoing back at her with equal uncertainty. The figure stepped forward slightly, just enough to be seen, and the breath caught in Daisy's throat. Please, you need to listen to me. What did this mysterious presence want? And how would it intertwine with their already unraveling truth? Who are you? Ethan demanded, his eyes narrowed, ready to protect his friends. Just a bystander who knows too. Much, the new figure whispered, the words dripping with tension as they took another step into the shrinking circle of light. What more did they know? And how deep did the shadows of the past really go? Daisy's heart thudded painfully in her chest. The dim light barely illuminated the shadowy figure, yet it was the soft tremor in their voice that held her captive. Who were they? What did they know? Step closer, Ethan barked, but his voice held an edge of fear. What do you want from us? We don't have time for games. Games? The figure chuckled, a bitter sound that sent chills up Daisy's spine. This isn't a game. This is your life unraveling before your eyes. I'm here to help you confront what you've buried. Sam shifted uneasily, glancing at Lisa, whose wide eyes glistened with fear. We don't need help. We need to get out of here, he muttered. Where do you think you'll go? The figure challenged, stepping fully into the light. It was a face they all knew, a classmate they hadn't seen in years, a ghost from their past, Alex. You can't escape what you've done. Daisy's breath caught. Memories flashed, a party gone wrong, whispered rumors, shattered trust. This was not just anyone, this was someone they'd abandoned when it mattered most. Guilt clawed at her, a snake tightening around her throat. Why did you come back? She whispered, voice trembling. To remind you, Alex answered, voice steady, that you're not as innocent as you pretend to be. The truth can only stay buried for so long. Alex gestured toward the screen, the flickering images now casting ominous shadows that danced like specters on the walls. Enough! Ethan shouted, stepping in front of Daisy defensively. Don't you dare play mind games with us, Alex. We're not the ones trapped in the past here. You are. The room grew heavy with unspoken memories, each glance exchanged revealing layers of shame and regret. Daisy felt the pressure build, a storm of emotions battling within. What do you mean the truth can't stay buried? She asked, forcing the words through her constricted throat. Because it's alive, Alex replied, eyes sharp. It's watching, waiting for you to acknowledge it. Are you strong enough to face it, or will you falter and let it destroy everything? The group fell silent, caught between a rock and a hard place. Could they brave the storm together, or would they drown in their collective silence? Lisa's breath hitched, tears spilling down her cheeks. We were just kids. We didn't know. Then you should have learned, Alex interrupted, frustration seeping into their tone. You can't keep running from the fallout of your choices. That video is only the beginning. Daisy felt the heat of anger mixing with fear. What else do you have to show us? The aftermath, Alex said ominously, looking toward the screen. The consequences of your actions still ringing in the ears of those you hurt. The device hummed back to life. Daisy felt a tremor in her bones as new images flickered on the screen. They were no longer chaotic scenes of the night, they were faces, echoes of those lost in the wake of their decisions. Emotions surged around the room as names were uttered with pained echoes. No. Daisy gasped, the cold fear settling in her stomach. Please, don't. A loud knock broke through the air, sharp like a whip. The door they thought was safely closed began to rattle dangerously. You opened the door, Alex said, voice now low and icy. Now you must face what walks with you in the shadows. The knocking grew frantic, each sound slicing through the heaviness of the moment. Ignited fear slashed through the group, and they exchanged desperate looks, realization dawning thick and dreadful. Who is there? Lisa cried, her voice trembling as the knocking escalated into a pounding. No one is safe, Alex whispered, eyes glimmering with painful truth, not until you confront the ghosts that haunt you. Thunder boomed outside, rumbling the very foundation beneath them. The walls felt like they were closing in, and Daisy's heart raced. We can't let it in, we can't. But as they huddled closer, tightening the circle against the chaos, something began to slip through. The barrier between their secrets and the world was less secure than they had hoped. Will you face your past? Alex urged, stepping back. Or will you let the darkness take you? The pounding escalated, a chilling din that drowned out their resolve. The air crackled with tension, and Daisy's breath quickened. How far would they need to go? What other truths awaited them? Suddenly, a horrifying thought clawed at Daisy's mind. What if opening up didn't lead to healing, but to a deeper madness? As she turned toward the sound, a shadow broke through the door, and her heart dropped. Please, she stammered. Don't let it in. The figure beyond the threshold was nearly in view now, and fear escalated into a frantic crescendo. What was waiting on the other side? What darkness did they truly unleash? The door burst open, splintering against the wall with a ferocious crash that sent Daisy stumbling backward into Ethan. The wind howled into the dim room, a banshee of despair that clawed at their skin and chilled their bones. Shadows flickered, dark shapes seemed to morph into twisted visages, creeping closer, filling the air with an overwhelming dread. What the hell is that? Sam shouted, backing away, eyes wide, scanning for anything that could provide an escape. Alex stood still, expression stoic, seemingly unfazed by the chaos erupting around them. You've invited it in. Now it will seek you out. This is just the beginning of what you must face. Daisy felt the heat of panic rise inside her. She fought to steady her breath, but the gravity of Alex's words weighed heavily on her chest. She wanted to scream, to run, but her feet felt glued to the floor. Ethan moved erratically, eyes darting toward the shadows that were now gathering by the doorway, coalescing like a thick fog. We need to shut that door. We need to lock it. No. Lisa cried, her voice muffled by the roaring wind. What if we lock in whatever that is? With terror bubbling in her throat, Daisy stepped toward Alex, feeling a wild need for answers. What do we do? How can we fix this? Face what haunts you, Alex replied, stepping closer to the gathering shadows, acknowledge the truth of what has been buried. From the edge of the darkness, whispers began to crawl forward, incoherent fragments that scratched at their minds like nails on glass. Faces emerged distorted, anguished echoes of once familiar people. The group staggered back, shock pinning them in place. Daisy's heart raced. No, not them. Each face reflected a different part of their past, a mix of guilt and fear rolled into one horrifying vision. Let me out. A voice surged forth from the pile of shadows, a chilling scream resonating deep within her consciousness. It was unmistakable Rachel, the girl they had pushed away. The girl who had paid the price for their silence. Rachel? Daisy gasped, the name spilling from her lips like a broken promise. Yes, Daisy. You left me. You all did. The shadow twirled around them, growing in strength, taking form, until she stood before them, pain etched into her features. You buried me in secrets. You thought you'd forget me, but I'm here to remind you. Lisa collapsed to the floor, hands covering her face. We were kids. We didn't understand. No more excuses. Rachel screamed, rage boiling over. You think ignorance absolves you? You created this nightmare together, and one way or another, it will consume you. Daisy felt the world close in on her, the darkness swelling, choking every breath. Was this truly what they had done? Stop it. Ethan shouted, pushing against the shadows that twisted and leered. In a moment of desperation, he lunged at Rachel, arms wide. We can't change the past. We need to move on. Rachel's laughter echoed, a desperate twist of sound that clawed at their sanity. You can't move on without reckoning with me. This is your fault, and I want to let you forget. Daisy squinted through the gloom, grasping for some flicker of hope. We can make it right, she pleaded. We can help you. Help? Rachel scoffed, and for a moment, Daisy could see the sadness beneath the fury. You can't help me until you help yourselves. The room throbbed with turmoil. Daisy felt a raw ache within her, a new truth surfacing like bile. What if confronting their guilt meant tearing open old wounds? Would facing their past only plunge them deeper into madness? A loud thump echoed behind them as the door rattled again, more insistently now, crashing against the wall in an agonizing rhythm. The shadows swirled frantically, coiling tighter around the group. Are you ready? Alex's voice seeped through the chaos, urging them, daring them to confront their demons. Will you stand as a united front, or will you succumb to the darkness? Daisy's heart raced wildly as the shadows began shifting again. Bursts of light flickered intermittently through darkness. Then the door crashed open once more. The final reckoning had arrived, and they were unprepared for what awaited on the other side. Hold tight. Alex shouted, eyes blazing as the air crackled with energy. It's time to face your greatest fears. Daisy felt the chilling grip of dread, but with a flicker of determination, she whispered, together, we can do this. As the shadows lunged forward, the world spiraled into darkness, leaving only the question echoing in the void: would they rise or fall against the oncoming storm? The darkness enveloped them, a thick, suffocating blanket that swallowed every flicker of light. Daisy felt her heart hammering against her ribs, panic clawing at her throat as her senses numbed in the void. The air was charged, vibrating with a menacing energy that shimmered like a looming storm, heavy with danger. Stay together. Alex's voice crackled, each word a lifeline in the overwhelming dark. Don't lose focus. But it was hard, so hard. Shadows whipped around them, a living entity swirling with rage, and Daisy could feel Rachel's presence pushing against her like a wave. The girl's anguish wrapped around her, relentless and suffocating, as the faces from the shadows shifted closer. Daisy. Rachel's voice lingered, dripping with sorrow. You thought ignoring me would make it go away. You thought wrong. Daisy squeezed her eyes shut, battling against the creeping despair. Where were they? What had they summoned? Don't look away. Sam shouted, his voice breaking the stillness. We need to face them. We can't let it take us. Ethan swayed slightly, consumed by terror. But how? How do we face something that's already inside of us? By confronting what we buried. Lisa cried, her voice fierce despite her quivering frame. We need to own our mistakes. It's the only way we can fight back. The shadows morphed again, uneasy and agitated, as if feeding on their fear. You're not ready, the voices hissed in an eerie harmony. You can't fight what you refuse to acknowledge. Daisy staggered backward, clutching her chest as if the pressure could ease the heaviness of the truth coming to light. No, what if facing it breaks us? Break, or be broken? Alex asserted. His eyes sparkled with an almost supernatural glow, sharp and fierce. The shadows thrive on denial. Only by accepting your truth can they lose their power. Fight yourselves. Just when she thought despair would consume her, Daisy took a shaky breath, the thought of Rachel's haunting eyes pushing her forward. She needed to confront her past, a past that wrapped tightly around her, squeezing out the light. Rachel, Daisy called, voice trembling but insistent. We're sorry. We were scared. We were kids, and we sorry isn't enough. Rachel's shadow flickered, enraged. Your guilt doesn't erase my pain. The room shuddered as the shadows howled in response. Daisy Ethan stepped closer, extending a hand toward her. We can't run anymore. Let us tell her the truth. Together. The resolve in his eyes sparked something in Daisy. She nodded, feeling a warmth replace the cold grasp of fear. You're right. Together. Then say it. Alex encouraged, pushing them on, grounding their swirling despair with unwavering strength. Acknowledge your pain. Each of you must do it. The shadows swirled violently, their cries a cacophony of long-buried memories and regrets. The room felt alive, a chaotic whirlwind of accusations and past mistakes. Rachel, we thought we could forget. Lisa said, tears spilling down her cheeks. But it never left us. We were haunted by our silence, by your absence. We should have reached out or said something, anything. We left you to suffer alone, Sam confessed, voice breaking. I know that now we were so wrapped up in our own fear we forgot you were human, too. A stillness fell upon the chaos, a momentary hush that enveloped them like a fragile veil. Then Rachel's shadow flickered softer, revealing the faint outline of a girl they had once known, a girl they had abandoned. I needed you, Rachel whispered, her voice a tremor in the gloom. I just needed you to care. Daisy felt a raw ache in her chest, the burden of their choices pressing down like an anvil. We do care. We're here now. Their admission rippled through the void, and the shadows thinned, revealing more of the room, more of the truth. But just as the light began to break through, an deafening crash echoed from the door. It splintered open, releasing a burst of icy air that sliced through the shadows, making them recoil. Standing silhouetted against the entrance was a figure darker than night, an ominous presence that sent a chill down Daisy's spine. Not all secrets are meant to resurface, the figure growled, voice low and unyielding. You think you can escape the past? You're only awakening what's been sleeping, what will destroy you. Daisy's breath hitched, the room pulsating with dread. They had just begun to confront their demons, yet a new terror loomed, threatening to swallow them whole. Is this really the end? She thought, heart racing faster than ever. Would they find strength in each other, or was the real battle just beginning? The figure stepped forward, the shadows bending around it as if fearing to approach. Daisy's heart thudded heavily in her chest, an instinctual response igniting in her veins. Her body screamed to flee, but her mind wrestled with the urgent need to be anchored. Back away! Alex shouted, positioning himself in front of the others, his voice a roar that drowned out the terror clawing at the edges of their resolve. We've come this far. You don't scare us. Ah, such naive bravery, the figure sneered, stepping into the dim light with a smirk twisting its features. The face was familiar yet grotesque, a warped reflection of fears long buried. You think you can face what you've awakened? Your past is a monster, and it hungers for your despair. Daisy's vision flickered as the figure continued, its words slicing through her defenses. You didn't just ignore the shadows, you fed them. Panic gave way to the silent scream of guilt pooling in Daisy's throat. No. We were just kids. We didn't know. Her voice wavered, thin and brittle against the cacophony of memories flooding in. The figure tilted its head, eyes gleaming with malice. Ignorance was never a shield. You all buried your truths deep, thinking they would die. But the heart remembers. The pain can't be forgotten so easily. In that moment, the room trembled as if echoing Daisy's turmoil. The shadows shifted, twisting into anguished faces Rachel's friends, trapped in a cycle of blame and sorrow. Each wail resonated, wrapping around Daisy like a noose. She could feel their anger, their hurt, and everything they never said crashing through the barrier she had built. "We can't stay here," Lisa cried, panic seeping back into her voice. "This is a trap." "No," Ethan said, the power in his voice growing stronger. "This is our moment. We can't let them drown us in our mistakes. But we must confront it all, now." But before they could voice their fears or muster any more courage, the figure lunged forward, darkness spilling from its outstretched hands like a black tide. A wave of chilling despair washed over them, snatching at Daisy's limbs, pulling her into despair's grip. "Face it," Alex shouted, realizing the truth behind their pain as the shadows swelled. "You have to claim your truth, it's the only thing that can protect you." "Claim what?" the figure hissed, its voice a blend of mocking laughter and fury. "You think mere words can save you from your guilt? It's too late. You are condemned to repeat the cycles of your past." Suddenly, a bright flash pierced the darkness, a beam of light erupting from the center of the room where they stood. Daisy felt warmth envelop her, a stark contrast to the biting chill of the shadow's presence. The shadows halted, trembling as if the light threatened their very existence. Choosing that moment, Daisy closed her eyes tightly. She thought of Rachel, of their friendship, of all the moments they had shared, both good and bad. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I want to remember. I want to bring you back." The figure recoiled, agony written on its features. Its grip weakened, shadows dissipating like smoke. But there was still a flicker of fear, a question lingering unvoiced. Would confronting the truth be enough? The room shook violently as reality twisted around them. The figures from the past began to merge with the light, creating shapes some familiar, some horrifying. "You think the light can save you?" the figure rasped, the darkness swirling with renewed vigor. "You have no idea what you're unleashing." Daisy's heart raced, pounding louder than the chaos enveloping them, threatening to tear her apart. And before she could respond, the world shattered into a million shards of brilliant light and shadow, each fragment revealing a terrifying glimpse of what lay ahead. As the room began to fracture and twist, Daisy's voice barely escaped the whirlwind of emotions. "We want to go back. We will fight for her." A flash of darkness lunged for her, and she braced herself, feeling the pull of the shadows tugging at her soul. Just when she thought it would consume her, she heard Rachel's voice cutting through the madness. "Fight for us, Daisy." In that moment of clarity, Daisy stood tall. But had she truly embraced the truth, or was it just the beginning of an unimaginable nightmare yet to come? The darkness swirled into tendrils of anguish, weaving around them with a cold grip, but something inside Daisy ignited. "We cannot be held captive by our past," she screamed, her voice cutting through the shadows like a knife. The bravery she felt surged from deep within, an unexpected reservoir she had yet to tap. Ethan stepped forward, determination blazing in his eyes. "Together, we have to face it and own it. All of it." His words rang out with an urgency that pushed through the suffocating fear. Sam and Lisa exchanged glances, a nod of agreement passing between them before Sam began to speak. "I was scared that night. Scared to speak up, scared to stand by Rachel. I can't live with that choice anymore. We left you behind." His voice trembled, but the honesty punctured the darkness. For the first time, Rachel's shadow paused, her expression shifting from rage to something softer, almost expectant. Daisy's heart raced. "Rachel, we remember you. I remember how you stood up for all of us at the party. I remember how we turned our backs when it mattered the most." The shadows fluttered around them, ebbing and flowing, as if responding to their admission. Rachel's presence morphed slightly, clarity breaking through the fog that had consumed her. Still, the figure that had entered the room loomed large, smirking. You think this will absolve you? True liberation comes with consequences. I don't care. Daisy shouted back, her voice a fierce whisper rising against the storm. I care about Rachel. And I care about the truth, all of it. Daisy felt her friends behind her, a collective strength forming like armor. Lisa joined in, her tears streaking down her face. I didn't know how to be brave back then. I didn't realize the cost of our silence. Rachel, please forgive us. With each confession, the shadows shrank, the light growing brighter, a beacon of hope mingling with memories. The figure snarled, desperation creeping into their voice. This doesn't change what you've done. You think your words will erase the past. But Daisy gritted her teeth, conviction steeping deeper inside her. No, Rachel is right. We can't erase it, but we can learn from it. We can change our future. The shadows now pulsed with agitation, swirling around like a hurricane of despair, but light pushed through, illuminating the corner of the room where the chaos raged. Face it, and let it free you. Alex's words rang with authority, a thunder of encouragement behind them. You can't move forward without breaking the cycle. You must embrace the pain, the shame, and channel it. The darkness roared back, vibrating with anger, but Daisy refused to waver. I am not ashamed to have felt fear and guilt. I'm ready to stand tall with those I care about. That's how we will defeat you. We are no longer bound by what we didn't say. The room trembled as the light intensified, a white-hot flame burning against the shadows. Daisy's heart raced as she reached out toward Rachel's image, now more defined, more real. Take my hand. You don't have to carry this alone any longer. Rachel's shadow hesitated before taking a step closer, the anguish in her eyes softening. But the past, it hurts so much. Yes, it does. Daisy exclaimed, remembering that pain was part of life. But facing it together will help heal us. It will help us grow. One by one, each friend stepped forward, anchoring themselves beside Daisy. They formed a circle not just against the darkness, but for each other. We are stronger united, Ethan declared. The figure, sensing their collective resolve, writhed and twisted, furiously battling against their light, but it was futile. You think you've unfettered yourselves? It spat, trembling. You don't understand the depths of your betrayal. But the friends stood firm, hearts pulsing in synchrony, arms linked in unity. We do understand, Sam said gravely. And we're ready to carry those burdens together. We'll own our mistakes. It's what makes us human. With one final roar, the darkness convulsed, shrinking before their light, the smirk fading from the figure's face. No. It bellowed, as the shadows recoiled, darkness losing steam beneath the relentless heat of their resolve. Daisy felt a ripple of energy surge as the shadows imploded, breaking apart into faint glimmers that drifted away, leaving behind a resounding silence. The oppressive weight faded, and what remained was a soft light, washing over them like a soothing balm. Rachel's figure shimmered, ethereal but present. Thank you, she whispered, vulnerability cracking through, for remembering me. As her essence began to dissolve and merge with the light, Daisy felt the warmth fill her heart. You're free now, Rachel. Don't look back. And with that, an overwhelming sense of relief washed over them. The chaos had receded, and the echoes of their truths had begun to heal the very scars that plagued them. As the dim light settled in the room, Daisy felt exhilarated by what they had faced. What scared her before now glimmered with possibility. They had achieved something monumental that would resonate well beyond this moment, which left her with a bittersweet farewell as they tidied the remnants of the past and turned toward the doorway, no longer trepidatious, but resolute. They left the haunted chamber, stepping out into the light of a dawn so bright, it felt like a rebirth. As they wandered beyond the threshold, a new chapter awaited, a chapter of embracing truth, friendship, and, ultimately, healing. But the journey wasn't over. Life would be filled with challenges that required the strength they had forged in that fight. Daisy remembered the shadows, they would always lurk nearby, but knowing that she had the power of her friends of truth gave her hope. Then, as they stepped into the sun, the reality washed over them. New beginnings demanded celebration. Let us promise, she said to her friends, eyes glimmering with renewed purpose. We don't run from darkness, but face it, together. Determination settled amongst them, echoing like a vow made in the heart of their shared journey, and they stepped forward, ready for whatever came next. Hey, if you've enjoyed this incredible conclusion and want more amazing stories like this, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us bring more stories to life, and let us hear your reactions. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, your theories about the ending, and what it meant to you. Your voice truly matters. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who are ready to explore powerful stories together. Let us spread the word and keep this journey going strong.